Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue our October 3-character expression a day streak. Okay. Today we're going to talk about kind of a social phenomenon, and that people have to coin an expression to describe this type of, I'm not sure if it's a trend, but it described a certain lifestyle, I guess. 啃老族. If you look at the translation, it's nibble at 啃. It's like nibbling on something. And 老, older people or older generation. 族, we translate as race. So I guess in this context, it doesn't mean it's a race, because in China, like 95, or I don't know what's the super high percentage, are just one race. China is a highly homogenous racially society, a super anti-DEI, it's not diverse at all. And this race definitely not meaning your ethnic background. It actually describe a type of lifestyle or your behavior level marker. So this is definitely a label of a group of people who nibbling at their older generation, meaning they are sucking the life out of the older generation to use the older generation's, I don't know, pension fund or whatever to live off them instead of going out, be independent economically. Financially. So that's 啃老族. It's kind of a social critique of this phenomenon. And I haven't done my research regarding it. I would imagine this probably is related to Chinese one-child policy, that kind of a shift of the power, generational power. Because before, if you have multiple children, right, the children, the group of the cubs of the whole brood need to compete for the favors of parents, right? And when you, like a nationwide, place this policy of one child policy, this one child is facing 2 parents and 4 grandparents. Like there is this tapering down. And if you're the only one in your generation, that kind of shift to power, because you have no sibling rivalries to begin with, right? And then when it comes to family resources, because eventually your parents, whatever wealth they accumulated over their lifetime, are going to come to you, because there's nobody else to be the beneficiary. So in that sense, this got a social structure that's set up to cook this phenomenon. And also probably when you have one child policy, the children, the parenting style would shift as well because of the power shift. So the parenting style shift as well, that the only one baby, right, only one in a household are going to be super cared for, therefore lost their chance to be, toughened up. So it's a super soft generation. I don't know. This is a super generalization, but I'm just discussing possible reasons contributing to this, the background of why this expression even exists. I'm sure single child don't grow up to be 啃老族, all of them. It's only a small percentage of them. And I guess the economic situations of today's world doesn't help either, right? Probably previous generations have a quicker economic, growing. Therefore, the family savings are expand easier than the current. You all heard of the high unemployment rate among the youth in China nowadays, and there is phenomenon of full-time child, meaning the child is becoming the housemakers, and they get paid for cooking for the parents, so that they don't feel totally useless. That Okay, 啃老族啃. Okay, we have the mouth symbol, means something to do with eating. And the right side has, well, as you can see, these are actually pieced together by me because nobody can find it in the dictionary of the like ancient spelling form. So I kind of pieced together somewhat like that, which actually means this means muscle, and this thing means joint. And I guess this is kind of the insertion or embedding or sort of connection of the muscle connect to the joint. And so 啃 with this eating action, this nibbling actually means you have to chew or you have to nibble the meat from the bone. That's something I find when I come to America that's missing out by the American consumers, because meat here are highly processed by removing everything, non-meat part off. So you only have meat, and steak is the hardest chewing part for American consumers. People are missing out on the chewing, on the nibbling. For Chinese, we definitely still retain. So if you go to a supermarket, Chinese supermarket, you would find food that's still either like a bone marrow, right? You have to suck the marrow from the bone, or the meat still attached to the bone, and you have to nibble it off. Like that's part of the eating fun, and it's totally missed out by American consumers. And also, food tastes better when you eat it in a certain way. That something about the eating action adds flavor to it. So I'm just putting it out there that nibbling is a way of eating that's missing out in contemporary culinary. I guess it's, in a society that emphasizes efficiency, like you want to eat fast, like who cares about nibbling anymore? But if you really want to savor, if you want to complete that food process, right, in your mouth, like you have to really make some efforts at nibbling or chewing on something. So you have to have the bones attached to the meat so that you can do that, right? Anyways, this is 啃, this is nibble. Okay, so using this eating action, Chinese actually defines the motion of, Chinese just suck a little bit of livelihood from the older generation. So I guess sucking is the English word because, hey, English don't know how to nibble. Okay, so nibble is taking small pieces away each time. Okay, 老, we had this one before. In Chinese, 老 is defined by 70+-year-old. So what's the word for it? Septuagenarian. Septuagenarian. Okay, means 70+-year-old. It has this this hair. Yeah, I guess this is the hairstyle of older people. So okay, Chinese society back then have this, hairstyle defined life stages. When you're children, your hair can let down. You don't care about hair. When you pass a certain age, I guess it's a kind of a rite of passage. I guess when you came to maturity, I'm not sure exactly what year that would be. Some teenage years, right? When you can reproduce, I guess, and then you're supposed to pull your hair up, pin it down, like everything look tidy. Both men and women. I mean, man bun back then in China is the standard hairstyle. Okay, and when you get older, that get loosened up again. Like there's no such social pressure to do your hair in a certain way anymore. You can let down your hair again. So this is a Chinese older people hairstyle depiction. It's kind of going fuzzy, kind of horizontally. This is definitely not meaning it's anti-gravity, it's going upwards. No, it means kind of fuzzy, going horizontal. And then this, according to some scholars, this means a cane, holding a cane. And then here, this is a person sign because Chinese person, two legs standing being looks like this. And you can see this is this flipped and rotated. So this means a change on person. So with time, we change, right? We age. So age to the stage of using a cane, to the stage when you're here, like you no longer care about how you look, right? And that is 3 features to signify somebody is old. I guess in ancient times, 70-year-old is equivalent to today's 100-year-old. It's really, really old. Okay. Nibble at the old and race. Okay. Race, this concept originally came from this arrow shooting. So we can see this almost like an arrow shooting through the air, and it captures snapshot two positions in the air. And this is the arrow shooting. I guess this is the bow, the mechanism of shooting arrows. And I guess here is arrows on the bow, not out yet. And this kind of depicting the arrow going through the air. Wow, how fancy is that? And then the left side is feng. It means kind of bold, combining bold, something like that. I don't exactly know. Ancient times when we travel through waterway, kind of a canoe, when you have this boat have to line up so that they don't crash. So some sort of a traffic control of this floating object. I guess it's harder to control than vehicle on the road, right? Because there is no hard lined tracks or lanes. So you have to, carefully maneuver the boat to line up together so they don't crash into each other. So that depicts that. And somehow it turned into this race concept. So I'm not sure if race it's made of this bow and arrow shooting, and this boat traffic control kind of signifies the economy, the linking of this clan, and this is the defense system. Therefore, it's kind of rejecting a certain outsiders to take advantage of their, to prevent the outsiders to be part of their economy. Let's say, therefore, it's a definition of a race. I'm not sure. But this is Chinese pretty wordy and complicated way to express the race concept. Okay, so nibble at old race describes the type of grown-ups that are not financially independent. They cannot stand on their own feet, so they have to feed off their older generation, their parents, and parents been working hard whole life, have some savings, have to, besides, care for themselves, which is already a hard work when you're getting older. They have to care about their adult children. So this is the phenomenon. And I had a hard time to find the equivalent of that. And my child recommend to use man-child to describe this 啃老族. I'm not sure if that's appropriate, but man-child seems to be more like emotionally not mature enough. But here is the emphasis is about economically not independent. They cannot, what's the word? They cannot, they're still breastfeeding. Like in this case, it's bottle feeding from their parents. So that's 啃老族. Cashing into the currency of thinking by one word a day, we're so facing that today.